a soldier in a war between our world and the next.
You want to quit?
No, I want to raise.
The most powerful witches that ever walked the earth are here to destroy us. Yeah, you're not qualified for what happens next.
The Last Witch Hunter, rated PG-13, October 23rd.
You know, sooner or later we were going to get to one of those weekends where everything was complete and utter garbage after a couple of really good weeks of movies, and of course we have reached that point right now. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the 5 films that make up October 23rd, 2015, so let's go ahead and get it over with. The Last Witch Hunter, the biggest new release of the weekend. Really? This movie? Vin Diesel stars as an immortal witch hunter who must stop a plague from ravaging the entire world. Yeah, the plague is this movie even existing. I mean, come on. Like, first of all, why are all these names in this movie? Vin Diesel I can understand because outside of the Fast and Furious and Riddick and Guardians of the Galaxy, he's not a big box office draw. But why is Elijah Wood in this? Why is Michael Caine in this movie? Why are they deciding to make a sequel to this after nearly 10 years? Who wants to see a sequel to The Last Witch Hunter? Nobody. Nobody went to go see this the first time around. It's a bad movie. It's a really bad movie. It's not intense. It's not intimidating. There's nothing exciting about it whatsoever. Why is this movie getting made? Why is this a thing? Say that. Why is it a thing? There's nothing about this movie that's interesting whatsoever. It falls into the same category as these really bad movies coming out around this time, like, you know, Legion and Priest, and this is another one of those movies that just, there's literally nothing of value to it whatsoever. It's a bad movie. It's a really, really bad movie. I mean, it's just bad on all these different levels. You expect anything less from the same people who gave us the wonderful scripts of Dracula Untold and Gods of Egypt and Morbius and Madame Web. Oh my god, I can't even keep a straight face. Why? Why is this a thing? I mean, I don't know. Last Witch Hunter, I just don't know. It's a terrible movie. But it's not the only terrible movie we've got this weekend. Lo and behold, the true death of the Paranormal Activity franchise. Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension in 3D!
Honey, what are you doing?
There's something going on. What woke you up last night?
Toby.
I found this camera in the basement. This can see things you cannot see with the naked eye. Leela's been playing with something that only she and this camera can see.
Here's Mary. She's going to have a special baby, just like me.
This is no coincidence. She's part of a prophecy.
He knows what you're doing.
Rated R, now playing, only in select theaters.
My god! I mean, it's bad enough that this series has already been well done to death by this point, but no. Let's add in another level to it by putting it in 3D. Because 3D is a trend that's never going away, even though by this point it was pretty much already out the door and has essentially become, not necessarily gone per se, but you don't see a lot of studios promoting 3D anymore as something that as something like a big deal in general. Usually you have an option to go to a movie, you can either see it in 2D or you can go see it in 3D, but it's not as big as they're trying to promote it here, and yeah, they've really run out of ideas at this point. It's the 6th installment of the Paranormal Activity series, and it's the first one not to feature Katie Featherston as Katie, although she's played by somebody else in this movie. Essentially, the plot ties into a lot of different elements, including Paranormal Activity 3 and 4, and then somehow, someway, it's all kind of connecting back to the other Paranormal Activity movies, and they really have just run out of ideas of what to do at this point. So they said, let's go ahead and take the 3D method of it. Yeah, 3D really isn't helping this movie in any way, shape, or form. Like, the biggest threat in this movie is Black Dust. That's supposed to be the ghost of Toby. Horrifying, I know, but, like, it just... I mean, this is a mess of a movie, man. The true scare factor that was in the first couple of Paranormal Activity movies, that shit is gone by this point, man. They are just really running out of ideas of how to essentially do this movie and do these films in general. They got so bad to the point that they hired an editor who had been working in the industry for 30 years beforehand, before he got his chance to direct this movie. This is his first movie he's ever directed, and as far as I know, it's probably the only film he's ever directed, because I haven't seen anything else from him. I take that back. He has directed a couple of other things. He has done he actually did something that was actually kind of decent, Hellfest from 2018, but we'll get to that in good time. But I mean, he has done a lot of work on the editing front, though. He's done, like, Get Up. He did the editing for Get Out, Happy Death Day, Game Night. So the guy isn't a hack filmmaker by any means necessary, but man, talk about getting somebody who really had been had really not done much as a director as a whole. And yeah, this was his first movie that he ever got to do with it, and it sadly was the rotten corpse of a franchise that was once prominent back in the day. Not even back in the day, 6 years ago, but now nobody gave a shit anymore, man. It shows by the box office for this. Nobody went to go see the film. It made money, but nevertheless, it was a film that didn't work because, according to Paramount, the reason why Paramount carried out this... Well, let me rephrase this here again. According to early pre-release tracking, the film was on pace to make $10 to $12 million in the United States and Canada, despite the film having the added benefit of 3D pricing at first for the series. The reason why Paramount carried out this approach and experimented with the two younger demographic genre movies, which many believed to be a box office failure, was because of the theatrical failure of Hot Tub Time Machine 2. Rob Moore, the vice chairman of Paramount Pictures, says, "There is no question that we're going to do less theatrically, but I believe we will make it up digitally. This is about the long-term health of the business, so there is not this long period of time when a consumer can't watch a movie." So, what happened around this time was that I kind of misread you a little bit here because I'm reading like the bottom of this here. But what happened was Paramount essentially struck a deal with a couple of studios by only putting this out in a select number of theaters. So they were only going to put it out in theaters for a couple weekends, and then 17 days after the film dropped, they were going to put this out digitally. It was part of an experiment that they were going to do, and a lot of the studios that did this decided not to go with this, and so the film only ended up going out to about 1,300 different theaters. So that's why you see at the end of the trailer there, October 23rd in select theaters. That's the theaters that would say yes to a movie like this getting released. And so, sure enough, the film didn't do as well as they wanted it to. It made the lowest amount of money in the entire series, and maybe it did make its money back over time with digital, but by this point, Paranormal Activity was dead and done for at this point. I mean, there was no doubt about it. Nobody gave a shit about this franchise anymore. And speaking of that other movie that they tried this with, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, we're going to get to that next weekend because that'll come out the following weekend. But as far as Paranormal Activity goes, it was pretty much over and done with at this point. They did one more that went straight to Paramount Plus, but that's probably the best place for this to go at this point. Even though they are making a seventh one that's an actual seventh one in the series that's supposed to come out, I believe. Okay, they're marketing it as the 8th installment of the series, and that one's not coming out until next summer, May 2027. So apparently it's coming out soon, so we'll see what they can do. Maybe, hey, who knows? Maybe they'll turn it around. Maybe it'll become like the Final Destination Bloodlines of the 2027, or it could just be another pointless Paranormal Activity sequel. My money's on the latter, but we'll wait to see what happens. But as far as the Ghost Dimension goes, talk about a franchise that was just dead in the water and had no way of coming back whatsoever. So let's go ahead and try to get to some good movies. I mean, we got a movie with Bill Murray, Bruce Willis in it, directed by Barry Levinson, Rock the Kasbah. Should work, right?
Lance smiled. You were really something.
Not worse when you heard him.
Rock manager Richie Lance was looking to get back on top.
I heard a girl singing.
In Afghanistan?
On October 23rd,
Hey! She is forbidden to sing. She didn't get the memo.
with a little help,
We're gonna go get her?
Pay me $1,000. I assume you'll take a personal check. I assume you will take a bullet to the foot.
he'll get back to what matters.
You were the best I ever heard.
Hello, Hollywood, where you going? I don't like that Tony Air voice.
Rock the Casbah, rated R.
Should have worked, but no, it really doesn't. The film stars Bill Murray as a talent manager sent to Afghanistan for a USO tour, Kate Hudson as his partner in country, Bruce Willis as his armed protection and book client, and Liam Lubani as his musical discovery. You also have a cast that includes Zooey Deschanel, Danny McBride, Scott Kahn, Taylor Kinney, anybody else? Sarah Baker. Written by Mitch Glazer, who wrote what was that movie he wrote? Well, he wrote Scrooge with Michael O'Donoghue, the movie that Bill Murray was in. He also did Passion Play, which he was the director for. So the pieces should be coming together for a movie here that could be good, but it didn't do it in the end. And it's not the fault of the actors. I just think the script overall it's kind of been done and done with before. I mean, we've seen so many movies where somebody goes to a faraway country and tries to find the next protege. We've had a couple of movies in the sports world like that. Kevin Bacon in The Air Up There, Brendan Fraser in The Scout, so many other movies, but those are the two that I can think of right off the bat that something like this. And it's not that the actors aren't trying. Bill Murray and Bruce Willis do have a couple of good, funny moments in here, but they're just not given any good material to really work with here. And the film, unfortunately, never really finds an area where it could be really entertaining in the long run. And it just really kind of comes off as just bad. It's just a badly written script, nothing really that amazing. It's a bad movie. It's a really, really bad film. Just absolutely wasting these great talents all across the board. What more can you say, man? It's a terrible movie, and just basically kind of what we expect from this type of a weekend as a whole. Case in point, with our next movie, let's go to one of the more infamously bad movies released this weekend, and that is Blumhouse's Jem the Holograms movie.
Sing one of your songs. I don't like being on camera. I may look like a small-town girl, but I have a big-time secret.
All the web's been talking about is this artist who goes by
Jem. Ladies and gentlemen, Jem!
From the studio that brought you Pitch Perfect,
Let's do this.
uncover the mystery.
The whole world wants to know who's Jem.
Big fans, we know all the words.
If you got young blood, songs alone.
Aren't the words? Okay.
Rated PG.
Oh, brother. This weekend is awful, and sure enough, here is the bottom of the barrel of that. Jem and the Holograms, based off of the 1980s animated TV series, but you wouldn't be able to tell the difference by watching this movie. Good lord, they took a simple TV series and turned it into whatever the fuck this is supposed to be. This was an ungodly mess of a movie on so many levels. So in the movie, you have a small-town girl named Jerica who lives an unexceptional life until she's taken on a secret identity inspired by her music. She becomes Jem, the bold, stunning, and absolutely fearless singer that catapults from an underground video sensation to global superstar overnight. But when it seems that she may lose touch with the things that really matter the most, Jerica and her band of three sisters begin a one-in-a-million journey discovering that some talents are too special to keep hidden. And if you're Jason Blum, you know good and well that those secrets are not coming out in this movie here because of the small budget that this had. This thing had a $5 million budget. It couldn't even make that back. It was a massive failure. It didn't even bring back half of its budget back. That's how terrible this movie is. And this is a movie that John Chu, the director of this, who of course will later go on to direct Wicked for Universal. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, this was a movie that he'd been wanting to do for a long time. You know, he grew up watching the original show with his sisters, had spent 11 years earlier trying to get this movie made, but was rejected by Universal due to the cost. So, hey, go to Jason Blum's department and make a movie out of it. Unfortunately, they made a terrible movie out of it because, man, these characters are so badly written. You hate the main character. You hate the villain, not in the way you're supposed to hate the villain. I mean, Juliette Lewis could play a great villain in this, but at the same time, like, everybody in this movie is just stupid. They even tried to push the dude from The Boy Next Door, Ryan Guzman. This was another movie. They were really pushing this kid to be the next big thing. And he's not a kid. He's like a grown adult. I mean, The Boy Next Door, he was literally in his 30s. And they tried to pass him off as a high school student. Just like, get the fuck out of here with that. Like, but man, this movie is such an insult to Jem and the Holograms. Like, everything that you saw from the TV series, that's nowhere to be found in this. Synergy, the computer that they use in the TV show, no, it's basically a small BB-8 in this. This is before BB-8 came out with The Force Awakens. I mean, they completely dismantled everything that made Jem and the Holograms such a fun show back in the day. I mean, the theme song's not there. I mean, I'm sorry, it is there a little bit at the end of the movie where they reveal the misfits in the post-credit sequence. Like, they really thought this was going to lead to a sequel. No, it's not. No, it's not. Nothing you're going to do in this is going to amount to anything worthy, anything except wasting your goddamn time. To the point where, you know, you've got all these pointless cameos from NBC Universal personnel like Jimmy Fallon, Dwayne Johnson, Chris Pratt. Ariana Grande and Scooter Braun apparently had cameos in this, but they got cut from the final film. They should be grateful for that. You know, Alicia Keys is in this movie. So is Chris Pratt. I think I mentioned his name before. Isa Gonzalez, you know, from the as one of the Misfits. So is Kesha. Like, they were really setting them up to be like this really big thing for a potential sequel. Which, I mean, I guess in some ways they probably thought that way. And It's funny because as the movie was coming out, the director wanted to make a crossover with this, Transformers and G.I. Joe. How are you supposed to combine Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Jem and the Holograms together? What sense does that make at all? It's like everyone who was behind this movie has to be really stupid. Even the person who's passionate about this project, the director, this has got to be one of the stupidest decisions I have ever heard in my life. Like, it got so bad, they pushed this movie out of theaters after 3 weeks. And, you know, this is the type of movie that should have gone straight to streaming, because nobody should have to pay money to see this in a theater. Like, it's a mess. It's a disaster of a film. Oh my god, this movie is abysmally bad. The singing isn't even all that good. Like, nobody in this movie is talented. Nobody is trying. Everybody is overacting or just being bad altogether. It's a mess. It's an unbelievable mess. It's the perfect culmination of everything we've talked about this weekend. Because every movie that we've talked about has either been terrible, underwhelming, or just god-awful. Case in point with our last movie. Let's take a look at the last film we have here. That is Suffragette.
Life, I've done what men told me.
We are fighting to secure the vote for women. We have been ridiculed, flattered, and ignored.
Mama!
If it's right for men to fight for their freedom, then it's right for women to fight for theirs.
Defy this government.
And we're half the human race. You can't stop us all.
Never surrender. Never give up the fight.
Rated PG-13.
It really says a lot when the best movie to come out this weekend is a cliched Oscar bait as all hell movie, because that's exactly what this movie is. This is the drama that tracks the story of the foot soldiers of the early feminist movement. What? Is this a Ninja Turtles movie or something? What? Why would you put it out like that? The story of the foot soldiers of the early feminist movement, women who were forced underground to pursue a dangerous game of cat and mouse with an incredibly brutal state. These women were not primarily from the genteel, educated classes. They were working women who had seen peaceful protests achieve nothing. Kind of like today's world, if you want to think about that. Radicalized and turning to violence is the only route to change. They are willing to lose everything in their fight for equality, their jobs, their home, their children, and their lives. Maud was such one-foot soldier. Their story of her fight for dignity is as gripping and as visceral as any thriller. It is also heartbreaking and inspirational. I wouldn't go that way on a number of different levels, but at least this one is the most tolerable of the films we have this weekend. But even then, it's not a good movie, man. It's kind of a boring movie, and it's definitely a film where you can look at it and see it is begging for Academy Awards, and it's never going to get them. It's never getting them, no matter how hard you try, no matter how good the acting in this movie. And they have good talents in here. Carey Mulligan, Helena Bonham Carter, Meryl Streep, Romola Gary, Ben Whishaw, Brendan Gleeson. You know, a great cast overall here. A good idea. I mean, this is a story that could make for a really interesting movie, to see the suffragette movement being told in a story that actually kind of works to the film's favor. But unfortunately, the rest of the movie is just bland, lazy, forgettable. I mean, it's written by the same person that wrote The Iron Lady, which was the last movie Meryl Streep won the Oscar for, and even then, that movie wasn't all that great. But I mean, yeah, it's just it's the movie that's not really all that great overall, but it's at least tolerable. It's at least one of those movies that I could at least watch one time more than the other films we've taken a look at. That's how bad of a week this movie was. The movies were this week. There were a lot of really bad movies, but this one is the one that I could stand the most. But even then, I wouldn't say it's a great movie overall. It's just a really, really bad weekend all across the board. Plain and simple with this one. So, will we get better to wrap up October? Not exactly. We do have 3 movies to wrap October up. We have the Weinstein Company trying to make their more serious version of Chef with Bradley Cooper in Burnt. We have Sandra Bullock starring alongside Billy Bob Thornton in the war film Our Brand is Crisis. And we have the aforementioned Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, another one of these horror comedies coming out around this time, trying to become the next Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland, and it's honestly the best movie we have coming up on the next episode. So, yeah, we're ending October on kind of a rough note here, but I know the next week after that, as we get to the holiday movie season, will get better, at least with one movie, but we have a couple of days before we get to that, so. We'll take a look at Burnt, Our Brand is Crisis, and Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse coming up on the next episode, so be on the lookout for that tomorrow. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.